The night was quiet, almost too quiet. Sergeant Mark Reed walked along the alien border, his boots pressing softly against the red dust that glowed faintly under the twin moons. Every few steps his scanner blinked green, no threats detected. It was supposed to be a routine patrol, another lonely night far away from Earth. But something in the air felt different. The wind carried a strange, sweet smell, and for the first time in months, Mark felt watched. He raised his rifle, scanning the shadows between the jagged rocks. "Who's there?" he called, his voice low and steady. No answer came, only a soft hum, like the sound of wings brushing through fog. His heart beat faster. Then, from behind a broken wall, a shape moved. A tall, slender figure stepped forward, an alien woman, her silver skin glimmering in the dim light. Her eyes, deep and luminous, locked onto his. Mark's finger tightened on the trigger, but something about her gaze froze him. She didn't look like a soldier or an enemy. Her face carried sadness, maybe even curiosity. She raised one hand slowly, palm open, showing she held no weapon. "You don't need that," she said softly, her voice melodic, almost hypnotic. Mark lowered his weapon slightly but kept his distance. "What are you doing out here?" he asked, his tone cautious. Her lips curved into a faint smile. "Watching the human who walks the borders of two worlds." She stepped closer, and Mark didn't move. He couldn't. The air between them felt heavy with tension, part fear, part something else he couldn't explain. Her eyes searched his face as if reading his thoughts. Then, in a whisper that seemed to melt the night, she said, "We'd make beautiful children, human." Mark's breath caught. For a moment, the entire world went silent. Her words hit him harder than any weapon could. He wanted to speak, to deny what she said, but no words came. She turned away, her long hair glimmering like threads of light, and disappeared into the fog. The sound of her footsteps faded, leaving only the echo of her whisper inside his head. He stood there for a long time, trying to convince himself it was a hallucination, a trick of the alien atmosphere, or maybe loneliness playing games with his mind. But when he touched his cheek, he felt the faint warmth of her breath still lingering there. The patrol wasn't over, but something inside him had changed. The strict soldier who once followed every rule now felt the pull of something forbidden and strange. As he walked back toward camp, her words repeated over and over in his mind, each time softer, more dangerous. He didn't know it yet, but that single whisper had already begun to unravel the man he thought he was and the mission he believed in. The next night came faster than Mark expected. He barely slept, his mind replaying that whisper like a forbidden melody. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her silver skin, her glowing eyes, the curve of her lips forming those dangerous words. When his alarm buzzed for patrol, he almost wished it wouldn't. But the base never paused for emotions. Orders were orders. The desert was colder tonight. The moons hung higher, casting long shadows that twisted like living things. Mark walked slower than usual, scanning every corner as if he hoped to see her again, and feared it at the same time. His radio crackled softly, reminding him he wasn't alone, yet he felt isolated, like the whole world had shrunk to the edge of his thoughts. Then he heard it again. That faint hum, like before. His heart skipped a beat. He turned toward the sound, weapon raised, breath shallow. The fog shifted, and there she was, standing exactly where he had seen her last night. She wasn't hiding this time. She looked calm, almost expecting him. "You came back," he said before he could stop himself. Her lips curved faintly. "So did you." Mark lowered his weapon again, though he knew he shouldn't. "You're not supposed to be here. This zone is restricted." "So is your heart," she said softly. "Yet here we both are." He froze. Her words made no sense, and yet felt like the truest thing he'd ever heard. She walked closer, and the air grew warmer around her. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "Because you listen," she replied. "And because I've seen your kind destroy and protect in the same breath. I want to know which one you are." Mark didn't answer. He couldn't. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, that she was the enemy, that this conversation could cost him everything. But still he stayed. Her eyes met his, and something silent passed between them. an understanding that neither training nor language could explain. Suddenly, the radio on his shoulder burst alive with static. "Reed, report. Are you in position?" His commander's voice snapped through the moment. Mark hesitated, torn between duty and the strange connection forming before him. The alien woman's gaze softened. "Go," she whispered. "Before they find you." He wanted to ask her name, but she was already stepping back into the fog. "Will I see you again?" he called out. Her voice came faintly, carried by the wind. "That depends on what you choose to be, human, soldier, or something more." The static roared again. Mark pressed his radio. "All clear," he lied. As he walked back toward camp, he realized he had crossed a line no soldier should. For the first time, duty felt like a cage, and she, the whisper in the dark, was the key he wasn't supposed to touch. Mark couldn't focus during the morning briefing. His commander's words washed over him like distant waves. He nodded when expected, but his thoughts stayed with the alien woman. Every detail of her haunted him, the glow of her eyes, the softness of her voice, the impossible calm in her presence. He had never disobeyed orders before, yet last night he had lied to protect her. And worse, part of him wanted to see her again. When the new patrol schedule appeared, he saw his name assigned to the same sector. His pulse quickened. He tried to act normal, but even his friend Carter noticed. "You look like you saw a ghost," Carter joked. Mark forced a smile. "Maybe I did." As dusk fell, he left the base, his rifle slung over his shoulder. The sky shimmered purple and blue, the fog already creeping in. Every shadow made him tense. He didn't know whether he was walking into a trap or a dream. Then, near the same ridge, a soft light appeared, like moonlight on moving water. She stood there again. This time she wasn't alone. Small, floating orbs circled her like fireflies, illuminating her gentle features. "You shouldn't be here," Mark said, though his voice lacked conviction. "You came back," she replied, stepping closer. "That means something." Mark looked at her carefully. "You're dangerous." She tilted her head. "Only to the ones who fear truth." He wanted to ask what she meant, but his throat tightened. "What are you?" he whispered. She smiled faintly. "A reminder that your kind once came here not with guns, but with dreams." The words confused him, stirring memories of old Earth legends about the first explorers. She reached out her hand slowly. "Touch it and you'll know I'm real." Mark hesitated, then let his fingers brush hers. The moment their skin met, warmth spread through him like fire and light. For a heartbeat he saw flashes, cities made of crystal, children with both human and alien eyes, a world where peace was possible. He gasped and pulled back, trembling. "What did you do?" he demanded. "Showed you what could be," she whispered. "If you let yourself see beyond duty." Before he could reply, the sound of a distant drone echoed across the ridge. Alarms blared from his communicator. Base sensors had detected movement. She looked toward the sky. "They're coming." "You have to choose." Mark raised his weapon, torn between orders and instinct. But when he looked at her again, she was already fading into the mist, leaving only a faint shimmer behind. The radio barked, "Reed, report! We have unknown activity near your position." Mark stared into the fog, his pulse racing. "Nothing here," he lied again. But deep inside, he knew something had changed forever, and this time there was no turning back. The next morning, Mark woke to the sound of alarms. The base was alive with motion. Soldiers running, officers shouting, drones buzzing overhead. He stumbled from his bunk, heart pounding. "What's going on?" he asked Carter. "Command detected alien activity near the West Ridge," Carter said, strapping on his armor. "Same place you were patrolling." Mark's stomach turned cold. He tried to keep his face neutral. "Probably just a false reading." Carter laughed. "You really think anything's false out here?" They were deployed within minutes. The patrol convoy rolled out, engines growling, headlights cutting through the rising fog. Mark sat in the back of the transport, trying to focus. Every bump of the road made his mind drift to her eyes, her voice, her touch that had burned into his skin. He still felt it, like a secret pulse beneath his armor. When they reached the ridge, the commander ordered everyone to sweep the area. "If you find any sign of alien contact, report immediately." No hesitation. No mercy. Mark gripped his rifle tighter. His breath came slow and controlled, but his thoughts screamed. What if she was still here? What if they found her? He split off from the squad, pretending to check the eastern edge. The fog was thick, swallowing sound and light. Then he heard it, a faint echo of her hum, the same gentle vibration that had haunted him since that night. He followed it deeper into the mist, far enough that the voices of his team faded behind him. You shouldn't have come, came her soft voice from the shadows. Mark turned, and there she was, standing among the ruins, her glowing eyes filled with both relief and fear. They're looking for you, he said. I know, she replied, but I couldn't leave without warning you. Warning me? She stepped closer, placing a hand on his chest plate. Your people are digging. They think they're searching for minerals, but they're waking something else, something that doesn't forgive. He frowned. What are you talking about? Ancient defense systems, she said. My world once burned under them. If they wake again, both our kinds will suffer. Before he could ask more, Carter's voice crackled through the comms. Reed, we found traces of alien energy. Where the hell are you? Mark's pulse spiked. She looked into his eyes. You have to trust me, she whispered. Hide this meeting. If they find me, they'll kill me, and themselves. Mark wanted to believe her. He didn't know why, but every instinct told him she wasn't lying. Go, he whispered. I'll cover your tracks. She hesitated for a moment, her eyes softening. You're not like the others, she said quietly. That's why I chose you. And then, like a shimmer of light breaking apart, she vanished into the mist. Mark stood alone, surrounded by silence. When Carter appeared moments later, scanning the area, Mark forced a calm breath. Nothing here, he said. Just old rocks and ghosts. But deep inside, he knew it was only the beginning. Mark couldn't shake her warning. Even during meals or weapon checks, her voice lingered in his mind. They're waking something that doesn't forgive. The words looped over and over until they became part of the air he breathed. He told himself to forget, to be a soldier again, but something deep inside refused. 3 days later, the digging began near the southern ridge. Massive drills thundered day and night, shaking the ground. The scientists believed they had found ancient power cores, remnants of the alien civilization. Mark stood watch nearby, his weapon ready, eyes fixed on the horizon. He didn't tell anyone about her warning. He couldn't. They'd call him unstable, or worse, a traitor. That night, the air grew colder. Static filled the comms, and one of the drones dropped from the sky with a hiss of smoke. Carter swore under his breath. Equipment's fried again. Must be radiation, but Mark knew better. The same faint hum he had heard from her was now in the ground, stronger, angrier. He stepped away from the group, following the vibrations down into the excavation pit. The walls pulsed faintly, veins of blue light crawling through the rock like living fire. His scanner blinked red. Unknown energy signature, it read. He knelt and touched the surface. It was warm, alive. A sudden flash burst through the pit, and the lights across the base flickered. When Mark looked up, she was standing at the edge, her silver skin glowing brighter than ever. She didn't look calm this time. Her expression carried fear. You didn't stop them, she said. I tried, Mark whispered. They wouldn't listen. You woke the Guardians, she said urgently. You need to get them out now! Before he could respond, the ground rumbled violently. A column of energy shot into the sky, splitting the night in two. Soldiers screamed as shockwaves rippled across the desert. Sirens blared. Carter's voice shouted through the radio, Reed! What the hell happened down there? Mark grabbed her arm. We can stop it, right? Tell me how. She looked at him, her glowing eyes filled with sorrow. Only by joining what was broken. I don't understand. You will, she said softly. Then she reached out and pressed her hand against his chest. A surge of light spread through him. His veins shimmered blue, his body shaking as something ancient and powerful awakened inside. The noise faded, replaced by a heavy silence. When Mark opened his eyes, the glow in the pit was gone. The drills lay shattered, the energy vanished. But she was nowhere to be seen. Only her voice remained, echoing faintly in his head. Now you carry the key, human. Protect it. or it will destroy you." Mark stumbled back toward the camp, his body trembling. Carter ran to him, eyes wide. "What happened down there, Reed?" Mark swallowed hard, unable to speak. Because for the first time, even he didn't know what he had become. Mark woke up in the infirmary, drenched in sweat. The lights above him flickered, and the faint buzz in his veins hadn't stopped since that night. Every time he blinked, he saw flashes of her glowing eyes, her trembling voice, and the surge of light that had poured through him like fire. The medics said he'd been unconscious for 12 hours, but when they tried to run tests, every scanner malfunctioned. His readings were unreadable. Outside, the camp was in chaos. Half the equipment had stopped working, and strange signals pulsed underground. Command blamed the aliens. The soldiers wanted revenge. Only Mark knew the truth. Something ancient had awakened, and he was connected to it. He slipped out of the infirmary after dark, moving through the silent camp. The sky burned with strange lights like storm clouds made of energy. The air tasted metallic. He followed the hum in his chest, which seemed to guide him toward the western ridge, and there she was. Standing at the cliff's edge, facing the storm, her figure shimmered like moonlight caught in water. When she turned, her expression was filled with both relief and sadness. "You survived," she whispered. "What did you do to me?" Mark demanded, stepping closer. "I gave you balance," she said softly. "Now you hold a part of my world in yours. You are the bridge whether you wish it or not." He clenched his fists. "They're preparing to attack your people. They think you caused this." Her eyes dimmed. "If they strike, the Guardians will respond." "There will be no winners, only ashes," Mark's voice broke. "Then help me stop it," she hesitated. "There's only one way. The bond inside you, it can shut them down, but it will take everything you are." Lightning cracked in the sky, lighting her face. She stepped closer, her hand trembling as it touched his cheek. "You were never meant to be just a soldier," she whispered. "You were meant to choose." Before he could answer, a flare exploded in the distance. Soldiers had spotted them. "Contact! Target in sight!" Voices roared through the comms. Mark turned to her, panic and resolve burning together. "Go! I'll handle this!" Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came. She looked at him one last time, then vanished into the storm as bullets tore through the air. Mark raised his weapon, not at the enemy, but at his own men. For the first time, he wasn't sure which side he was on. The world had turned into chaos. Explosions echoed across the ridge as fire lit up the night sky. Mark ran through the smoke, the hum in his veins pulsing faster, louder, until it felt like a second heartbeat trying to break free. Every explosion made it stronger. Every scream reminded him that time was running out. He reached the command post just as the base sirens wailed. The Guardians, massive, glowing figures of energy, were rising from the ground, emerging like ancient gods awakened from endless sleep. Their eyes burned with cold light, and each step they took shattered the earth. Soldiers opened fire, but the bullets vanished before reaching them. "Reed!" Carter shouted, spotting him. "Where the hell have you been? Those things are tearing everything apart." Mark grabbed his friend by the shoulders. "You have to stop shooting. You're only feeding them." Carter pushed him back, confused and terrified. "What are you talking about?" "I can stop this," Mark said. "But you need to trust me. Tell command to pull everyone out." Before Carter could answer, one of the Guardians turned toward them. Its glowing hand rose, and Mark felt a surge of power calling to him, like it recognized him. The mark on his arm glowed blue, the same color as the alien woman's eyes. He finally understood. He ran forward, ignoring Carter's shouts, and dropped his rifle. The Guardian's energy beam roared toward him, but instead of destroying him, it merged with the light inside his body. Pain ripped through him, yet it also felt complete. His vision blurred as the storm around him stilled. In the midst of the silence, her voice returned. "You are the bridge, Mark. End the cycle." He raised his arms, letting the energy flow outward. The Guardians froze mid-step, their light dimming, their rage fading into calm. One by one, they sank back into the earth, leaving only silence behind. The storm dissolved. The sky cleared. Mark collapsed to his knees, his body glowing faintly, the hum fading away. Carter rushed to him. "Reed! Stay with me, man!" Mark smiled weakly. "Tell them it's over." His voice was barely a whisper. Far in the distance, a soft shimmer appeared, the alien woman watching from the shadows. She placed a hand over her heart before fading into the wind. Mark's last breath escaped in peace. Between duty and desire, he had chosen something greater, understanding. And in that choice, he saved them all.